The salty ocean breeze swept over the private beachfront villa as I stood on the wooden deck, watching the sun dip into the horizon. The sky was painted in brilliant hues of orange and pink, a picture-perfect moment. This vacation had been a long time coming. Life had been stressful. Between work deadlines, financial pressures, and family responsibilities, I barely had time to breathe. That's why I had insisted on this trip. A week-long getaway in a luxury resort with my wife, Lauren, and our two kids, Ethan and Lily. I wanted us to reconnect as a family, to create memories that would last a lifetime. Lauren had seemed excited at first, though looking back, I should have paid closer attention. There had been subtle shifts in her behavior lately. More time spent on her phone, hushed conversations in the other room, and nights where she claimed to be too tired for intimacy. I had brushed it off as stress, but something about this trip felt off. The moment we arrived at the resort, I noticed a change in Lauren. Instead of looking at me with excitement, she seemed distracted. Her phone barely left her hand. Whenever I glanced her way, she was either typing rapidly or reading something intently. I figured she was just checking social media. Lauren was always active online. But something gnawed at me, an unease that wouldn't settle. Our kids were ecstatic, though. Ethan, at 10 years old, was already darting toward the pool, and Lily, just 6, clung to my hand, her tiny fingers squeezing as she squealed about wanting to see the ocean. Their happiness reassured me. Maybe I was just overthinking things. On the first night, I tried to shake off the tension. We had dinner at the resort's open-air restaurant. The warm night air filled with the scent of grilled seafood and tropical flowers. I raised my glass of wine toward Lauren. "Here's to a perfect week together," I said. She smiled, but it was forced. Her fingers twitched toward her phone, which lay face down on the table. I frowned. "Everything okay?" I asked. She blinked, as if startled. "Yeah, sorry, I was just thinking about something from work. I'm here, I promise." I wanted to believe her, but the way her eyes darted around, the way she seemed almost impatient, it didn't sit right with me. That night, I woke up to the sound of hushed whispers. At first, I thought I was dreaming, but as my groggy mind cleared, I realized Lauren wasn't in bed. I sat up slowly, listening. "Yeah? I know. I miss you too." Her voice was barely above a whisper, but in the dead silence of the villa, it was unmistakable. My stomach clenched. Who the hell was she talking to at 2 in the morning? I pushed the blanket off and crept toward the living room. Lauren sat on the couch, her back turned toward me, phone pressed to her ear. "No, he's asleep." "Yeah, I wish I could see you two." My blood ran cold. I didn't want to believe what I was hearing. My wife, my partner of 13 years, was speaking in a way no married woman should. I took a step forward, and the wooden floor creaked beneath my foot. Lauren jumped, whipping around with wide eyes. She looked like a deer caught in headlights. "Jesus, you scared me," she whispered, quickly locking her phone and setting it beside her. I folded my arms, my heart pounding. "Who were you talking to?" She hesitated, just for a second. It was quick, so quick that most people wouldn't notice. But I did. "Just Sarah. She couldn't sleep, so we were chatting," she said, forcing a yawn. I was about to come back to bed. I stared at her, my instincts screaming that something wasn't right. But I wasn't ready to accuse her. "Not yet." "All right," I muttered. "Come to bed." As she followed me, I knew one thing for sure. I couldn't ignore this feeling anymore. Something was going on. The next morning, I decided to watch her more closely. During breakfast, while the kids chattered away about swimming in the ocean, Lauren's attention was glued to her phone again. "Babe, put that away. We're on vacation," I said, forcing a smile. She barely looked up. "Sorry, just checking something." An uneasy feeling settled in my gut. Then, as we walked down to the beach, I noticed something even stranger. Lauren had changed her swimsuit. When we left the villa, she was wearing a modest blue one-piece. But when she returned from a quick stop at the resort lobby, she was suddenly in a revealing red bikini. I frowned. Lauren had always been conservative with her swimwear. "Did you change?" I asked. She shrugged. "Yeah, I just wasn't feeling the other one." It seemed innocent enough, but my gut told me otherwise. Then, as we lounged under the cabana, her phone vibrated. She glanced at it, and for just a split second, I saw the name on the screen. "Nick." She quickly turned the phone face down, but it was too late. My blood boiled. Nick was one of our old friends, someone Lauren had known for years. He was also a man she had always insisted was just a friend. I clenched my jaw, forcing myself to stay calm. Nick, huh? Haven't heard that name in a while, I said casually. Lauren's body tensed, but she covered it quickly. Yeah, he just messaged to check in. No big deal. But the way she avoided my gaze told me everything. Something was happening, and I needed to find out what. That night, as Lauren pretended to sleep beside me, I knew I couldn't ignore it anymore. I needed proof. I needed to catch her in the act. And so, as she lay still, her breathing slow and steady, I reached for my phone. If she was meeting someone, I would find out. And when I did, she would have no way out. Lying in bed that night, my mind raced with possibilities. I wanted to believe I was overreacting, that Lauren's odd behavior was just my paranoia playing tricks on me. But deep down, I knew better. Her late-night whispers, the sudden wardrobe change, the name on her phone, it all pointed to something I couldn't ignore. I needed solid proof before confronting her. If I accused her without evidence, she'd just deny it. That's when I decided to set a trap. Lauren had been glued to her phone the entire trip, always finding an excuse to slip away. If she was meeting someone, she'd eventually let her guard down. I just had to catch her in the act. At around 3 a.m., when her breathing had settled into a deep rhythm, I made my move. Her phone was charging on the nightstand, face down as always. My hands trembled slightly as I picked it up. I tapped the screen. Password locked. I clenched my jaw. Of course. But I wasn't giving up that easily. Lauren and I had been together for years. I knew her habits. She wasn't the type to use complicated passwords. I tried a few. Our anniversary. No luck. Our son's birthday. Wrong again. Her own birthday. Still nothing. Then, I tried one last thing. Nick's birthday. The phone unlocked. My stomach dropped. She had changed her password to another man's birthday. If that wasn't proof enough, what I found next shattered any remaining doubt. I went straight to her messages and found a thread labeled Nick Redheart. My heart pounded as I opened it. There it was. Hundreds of messages. Late-night conversations, flirty texts, intimate confessions, things she should have been saying to me. Nick, God, I miss you. I hate sneaking around like this. Lauren, I know, baby. Just a few more days. I wish we had more time. Nick, same. Every time we're together, I don't want to leave. Lauren, me neither. Last night was amazing. Can't wait for tomorrow. I felt like I was going to be sick. Last night. That meant she had already met up with him. I scrolled up, my fingers tightening around the phone. They had been talking for months. She had been cheating on me right under my nose. And then, I found something worse. Buried between the messages was a text from just a few hours ago. Nick, same place tomorrow? Lauren, yes. Usual time. I'll make an excuse to leave the villa. I checked the timestamp. They were planning to meet up tomorrow. I had everything I needed. The next day, I acted normal. If Lauren suspected anything, she might change her plans. So, I played along, laughing with the kids, holding her hand, pretending everything was fine. But inside, I was fuming. Lauren had told me she wanted to get a massage in the afternoon. A perfect excuse to slip away. I pretended to buy it. Then, I followed her. Lauren walked quickly through the resort, checking her phone every few seconds. I kept my distance, watching as she made her way past the spa, past the pool area, and toward the back of the resort, toward a secluded beach cabana. And then, I saw him. Nick was already there, waiting. The moment she saw him, her face lit up in a way it never did for me anymore. She ran straight into his arms. They kissed. That was it. That was all I needed. My vision blurred with rage. Every emotion I had been bottling up exploded at once. But I wasn't about to cause a scene, not yet. Instead, I pulled out my phone and recorded everything. Nick's hands were all over my wife, his lips trailing down her neck as she giggled. Disgusting. I filmed for a full minute, making sure I captured every detail. They were trapped, and they didn't even know it yet. I took a deep breath before stepping out from my hiding spot. Don't stop on my account, I called out. Lauren froze. Nick spun around, his face draining of color. Lauren's eyes widened in sheer panic. J. James. I held up my phone, showing the recording. Save it. I already have everything I need. Her mouth opened, then closed. She knew she was screwed. This isn't what it looks like, she started. I laughed coldly. Oh, really? Because it looks exactly like my wife screwing another man while on a family vacation. Nick took a step forward, but I wasn't done yet. You're a pathetic excuse for a man, I told him. Messing around with another man's wife? You disgust me. He had no words. Coward. Lauren burst into tears. Please, James, let's talk about this. I cut her off. Talk. Like how you talked to Nick last night. Like how you plan to meet him again today. I shook my head. Save your breath, Lauren. We're done. I turned around and walked away, ignoring her desperate pleas. But I wasn't finished yet. I sent the recording to every single family member and friend we had. Then, I booked an early flight back home without her. Lauren had no choice but to stay behind, alone. Nick didn't even offer to take her in. The moment I landed, I filed for divorce. She lost everything. Our home, our savings, even custody of the kids. Her vacation fling cost her everything. Now, she's the one alone and miserable. And me? I'm finally free. I walked away from that cabana without looking back. Behind me, Lauren's desperate sobs echoed through the secluded beach. She kept calling my name, but I didn't stop. Nick? He didn't even try to follow me. He just stood there, awkwardly shifting from foot to foot, like the coward he was. Lauren had risked everything for him, and he wouldn't even fight for her. Good. I made my way straight back to the villa. I had to get out of here. As I packed my suitcase, my mind raced through everything that had just happened. The betrayal, the lies, the humiliation. I wasn't going to stay another second. 15 minutes later, I was at the front desk, booking the next flight home. A direct flight was leaving in 2 hours. Perfect. As I finalized my checkout, I heard a frantic voice behind me. James. Please. Lauren. She must have run all the way from the cabana. Her hair was a mess, her face streaked with tears, her dress slightly damp from the ocean breeze. She looked like a complete wreck. James, just talk to me, she pleaded, grabbing my arm. I turned and looked at her, my expression cold and unreadable. Talk, I scoffed. Now you want to talk? She nodded frantically, her hands trembling as she reached for mine. Please, let's go somewhere private. Just us. Let me explain. I yanked my arm away. Explain what, Lauren? How you threw away our marriage for some sleazy affair. How you humiliated me in front of our family. Or how you used our son's birthday as your phone password to hide messages from your lover. Her lips trembled. James, it wasn't like that, I swear. It just happened. I never meant to hurt you. I laughed bitterly. Oh, right. You accidentally tripped and fell into bed with him. She flinched at my words. I made a mistake, she whispered. No, I corrected. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. A mistake is burning dinner. What you did, that was a choice. I turned back to the receptionist, who handed me my passport. Lauren's breath hitched. Wait, are you leaving? Yes. Her hands clutched at my shirt, pure panic on her face. James, you can't just leave. We came here as a family. What about the kids? They're coming with me. Her eyes widened in horror. No, please. Don't take them from me. I shook my head. You took yourself away from them the moment you decided to cheat. Her knees buckled, and she slumped against the desk. James, please don't do this. Don't throw everything away. I stared at her, expressionless. I'm not the one who threw it away, Lauren. You did. Then I walked out. She didn't follow. On the way to the airport, I sent the video to our closest family members. By the time I landed, the entire family knew. My parents? Disgusted. Her parents? Devastated. Her sister? Called her a disgrace. Our friends? Turned their backs on her. She tried to call me over and over again, but I ignored every single call. Then, I went a step further. I posted the video, not publicly, but in a private group with our friends and extended family. The caption? This is what my wife did while we were supposed to be on a family vacation. Lauren had always cared about appearances, about looking like the perfect wife, the perfect mom. But now, everyone saw her for what she really was. A few days after I got home, I heard from mutual friends that Nick had completely ghosted her. No texts, no calls, no explanations. He used her and then discarded her the moment she became a liability. She had lost everything, for nothing. As soon as I got back, I contacted my lawyer. Lauren tried to reach me through email. Long, desperate apologies. James, I messed up. I swear, I never wanted to hurt you. Please don't do this. Think about our family. Think about our son. I didn't respond. I wasn't thinking about her anymore. I was thinking about myself, and how much better off I'd be without her. Within weeks, I had full custody of our son. Lauren? She lost the house, the stability, the respect of her family. Now, she was alone. And me? I was finally free. Lauren didn't take long to realize how much she had lost. Once I went no contact, her life spiraled fast. Her parents, once her biggest supporters, were furious. They had always believed in family and loyalty, and now they refused to let her stay with them. "You betrayed your husband and destroyed your family," her father told her coldly. "We didn't raise you to be like this." Even her mother, who had always been protective of her, was ashamed. Lauren had no choice but to move into a small rental apartment, a far cry from the home we had built together. Before the affair, Lauren had always surrounded herself with a close group of friends. Now, they abandoned her. At first, she tried reaching out, calling them one by one. "Please, just hear me out." It wasn't what it looked like, but they already knew the truth. "Lauren, we all saw the video. There's nothing to explain," one of them said bluntly before hanging up. She had no one left. The final blow came when she tried to reach out to Nick. Despite everything, she still clung to the idea that maybe he would stand by her. Maybe she hadn't lost everything. But when she called him, he didn't answer. When she texted him, he didn't reply. A week later, she saw him, out at a bar, laughing with another woman. She marched up to him, furious. "Nick, you've been ignoring me." He barely glanced at her, like she was a stranger. "Lauren," he sighed. "What did you expect? You think I want to deal with your mess? I was never in this for anything serious." Her stomach dropped. "You told me you loved me." He shrugged. People say a lot of things in the moment. And just like that, she finally understood. She had risked her marriage, her family, her entire life, for a man who never cared about her in the first place. And now, she had nothing. While Lauren's life fell apart, I was rebuilding mine. My son and I grew closer than ever. With full custody, I focused entirely on him, making sure he never felt the loss of his mother's betrayal. I threw myself into my career. With no more distractions, I started working on a huge promotion. I reconnected with old friends, people who actually cared about me, who stood by me when I needed them most. And most importantly, I felt free. No more lies. No more stress. I wasn't drowning in betrayal anymore. I was finally moving forward. A few months later, she showed up at my door, tears in her eyes, bags under them, hair a mess. She wasn't the confident, beautiful woman she once was. She looked broken. "James, please, just talk to me," she begged. I crossed my arms. "There's nothing to talk about, Lauren." Her voice cracked. "I made a terrible mistake. I wasn't thinking. I was selfish. But I see it now. I see everything I lost." She reached for my hand. "Please, James. I just want my family back." I pulled away. "You should have thought about that before you destroyed it." Her face crumpled. "I miss you. I miss our son. Please, give me one more chance." I looked her dead in the eyes. "I did give you a chance. Every single day of our marriage. And you threw it away." She sobbed, falling to her knees. But I didn't feel sorry for her. She had made her bed. Now, she had to lie in it. For the first time in a long time, I felt completely at peace. Lauren stayed on her knees, sobbing uncontrollably. I stood there, arms crossed, watching her break down in front of me. A part of me, the man who had loved her for years, who had built a life with her, felt something. But it wasn't pity. It wasn't regret. It was relief. Because for the first time, I knew I was completely done with her. "You need to leave, Lauren," I said, my voice firm. She shook her head. "James, please, Go." She looked up at me, eyes wide and desperate, but there was nothing left to say. She had shattered my trust, humiliated me, and destroyed our family. I wasn't about to let her back in. Eventually, she got up, wiping her tears, defeated. She turned and walked away, and I didn't watch her go. I just shut the door behind her. And with that, she was out of my life for good. Over the next few months, I focused on building the life I deserved. 1. My son came first. I enrolled him in a better school. Took him on weekend trips. Made sure he never felt the loss of his mother. 2. My career took off. With no distractions, I landed the promotion I had been working toward for years. I was making more money than ever before. I finally felt like I was in control of my life again. 3. I rebuilt my social life. The friends I had distanced myself from during my marriage, they welcomed me back. I reconnected with people who genuinely cared about me. I even started dating again. Nothing serious, but I wasn't letting my past hold me back. Life was good. Meanwhile, Lauren's life continued to fall apart. She lost her job. After the scandal, she had trouble finding work. No one wanted to hire someone who had been exposed as a cheater in such a public way. She struggled financially. She had to downgrade to a tiny apartment, barely making ends meet. Nick wanted nothing to do with her. The moment he realized she had nothing left to offer, he moved on to the next woman. She had burned every bridge, and now she was completely alone. One day, I ran into her at the grocery store. She looked different, thinner, tired, worn down. Her once perfect hair was unkempt. The expensive clothes she used to flaunt? Gone. She saw me and hesitated. Then, slowly, she walked up to me. James. I raised an eyebrow. Lauren. She swallowed, looking nervous. I wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. I studied her. She meant it. I could see it in her eyes. But it didn't change anything. I know, I said simply. Her lip trembled. I miss you. I miss our family. I shook my head. You miss what you had. But you never valued it when it mattered. She looked down, ashamed. I was stupid. I ruined everything. And now, I have nothing. For the first time in months, I felt nothing toward her. No anger. No pain. No love. Just indifference. That's not my problem anymore. She looked like she wanted to say something else, but I didn't wait to hear it. I grabbed my groceries and walked away. And for the first time, I truly felt free. Looking back, I realized something important. Lauren's betrayal had been a blessing in disguise. It forced me to see her for who she really was. It gave me the strength to walk away from a toxic relationship. It pushed me to build a better life for myself and my son. She had lost everything. But me? I had gained more than I ever thought possible. And for that, I had no regrets.